2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to the NESN Soccer Podcast and Happy New Year. I am Mark along with Marcus. And Marcus, how was your New Year? We're entering into that time of how late can you say Happy New Year?
I go as late as possible, and I think it gets funnier the later you go.
I think that I agree with that.
I like to see people in March and April and wish them a Happy New Year.
It's a good joke every year, I would say. But I don't think it's too late to be looking ahead to the rest of 2019, which is what we're going to do in this podcast. We still have 11 and a half months left. Yeah. And in this podcast, we are going to look at the 19 moments in 2019 in in world soccer that we are looking forward to. So I put down 10 moments. You did 9?
Yeah. I think that equals 19.
Equals 19.
Yeah.
Last I checked. So who wants to? So the way it's going to work is, let's say I go first. I list a moment. I'll tell you why I picked that moment. Okay. You're going to have a quick reaction, and we'll go quick fire through all 19 things, and that should hit anything relevant in soccer for the year. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure
Almost.
There will be a gap here or there.
But you want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go first. You've got.
Mine's
You've got the 10, and I've got the 9.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Mine's a gimme, I guess, or a given.
Okay.
The 2019 Women's World Cup.
Yes.
As Americans, our country is a favorite, as they have been for, I guess you could say, decades at this point.
Yeah.
The women's national team will be a favorite again at the 2019 Women's World Cup. It will take place in France from June 7th to July 7th. And I guess it's just always exciting to be able to root on a favorite, which is why I'm looking forward to it. Kind of some new faces on the women's national team. I think mainly if you go back to the 2015 World Cup, there's no Abby Wambach, there's no Hope Solo, but there's like Carly Lloyd, who had a hat trick in the World Cup final of 2015, right?
Yeah, that was then, this is now.
That was then, this is now. I also feel like she just doesn't really get enough credit for that. It was kind of all about, I guess, Alex Morgan and Abby Wambach, and like Carly Lloyd doesn't, I think, she had a hat trick in a World Cup final. Like, that's incredible.
Whose fault is that she doesn't get the credit? I covered that tournament and that team in 2015. And two things that I remember standing out. One, Carly Lloyd's performance was probably the greatest performance of anyone in a World Cup final, men's or women, period, ever. And second was that in sporting terms, I think that team, and I don't want to get too far into the past, but the last thing I said in the video recap was that my analysis was that it represented the highest ideals in sports because of what they had to go through and overcome to win. People might not remember, but they didn't start that tournament well, and it was just steady improvements over the course, and then it ended in this final explosion for the ages. So,
very nice. Okay, your first topic?
It was the Women's World Cup.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it is. USA is going to, or they're vying to defend their title, and doing so would make them, I would say, the best women's team in history, because if my memory serves me correctly, no team has been able to successfully defend their title. And the U.S. women won in 1991, didn't win in 95. They won again in 1999, and then didn't win again until 2015. So, I mean, what we're really wondering is, actually no team, well, Germany defended in 2007, but yeah, no, this will be, you know, I think they'll take the mantle as the best U.S. women's team ever, should they be able to defend their crown. So that should be interesting. And then, you know, they could back it up in 2020 with the gold medal in the Olympics. But first things first is this summer.
Right. I like that you brought up the Olympics, although do you want to go to your next topic, or should I? Because yours was World Cup too.
Make it quick.
Well, it's just another topic of mine that I'm looking forward to is the U.S. U23 team's Olympic qualifiers.
Well, let's not get to that yet.
Okay.
Because there are other things in the Women's World Cup that bear mentioning. One, it's in France, so we're going to see what the how the Europeans have, you know, how they take to the women's game. In this hemisphere, it's, you know, pretty big deal whenever, you know, the U.S. is in a major tournament. The crowds were huge in Canada. Mm-hmm. And it will also be on grass, where World Cup belongs. 2015 was played entirely on turf. It was a shame and a travesty, and they've fixed it for now.
Well, that's definitely good news.
Okay, now I'm done.
All right. Well, sticking with, you did mention the Olympics. Qualifying for the men's Olympic tournament, which involves a U23 squad, will take place in 2019 for CONCACAF qualifiers. Okay. Only 2 CONCACAF teams will qualify for...
When is the tournament? It's got to be...
The 2020 tournament?
No, the
Well, so qualifying. That's the other thing is the qualifying dates aren't set yet.
Okay.
It just, there's like a confirmation that it will be within 2019. I'm guessing not until at least like August, if not even later in the year. But
wow, how have they not set the dates yet?
I don't know. But yeah, basically, it's exciting because there's a lot of U23 players to pick from, but maybe some of them are sort of the stature where they wouldn't compete in this, because I don't want to say they're above it, but it's just their commitment to maybe a high-level club team or maybe they're committed to the men's national team in the same time frame and just aren't able to compete with the U23 team. So it'll be interesting to see which players are left off that would be technically eligible to compete. But basically, I'm looking forward to the qualifiers in particular because it's, I guess, really high stakes and very difficult to advance. You could say it's harder to make the Olympics than it is to make the World Cup if you're from the CONCACAF, because only 2 teams qualify, and you essentially are going to play. Again, the details of the qualifying aren't complete, but you're going to play like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
And then those games will be what decides if you go or not. So when that schedule is released, I will circle it on the calendar right away, be ready to watch. But yeah, just...
yeah, Olympics, you know, it's just a 2-week tournament, and most soccer fans don't have it as their, you know, their favorite thing, but we've seen with Team USA what missing successive Olympics did. And I think it was, you know, crucial in the failure to qualify for the 2018 World Cup was that, you know, you have these generations that missed out on big game experience, big tournament experience, the chance to impress scouts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they failed twice to qualify for the Olympics between 2012 and 2016, and I think that really, you know, kind of reaped what we failed to sow in 2017. So, yeah, very important.
So, yeah, all right, your topic?
Next one. I'm going to go with the, I wasn't sure if I should do this chronologically or, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to pick them out. I'm going to say Atlanta United in the CONCACAF Champions League. I am desperate for an MLS team to win this tournament, if only to validate in a sporting perspective the strides the league has taken. Now, I know the tournament is kind of weighted toward teams in Mexico and or Central America because their seasons begin, I don't know, seasons are already underway. And when the tournament happens in late February, early to mid-March, they have the benefit of being, I forget when the MLS season begins, but they're well ahead in terms of their preparation and game fitness. So, MLS teams are always playing behind the 8 ball, but this Atlanta team is one of the best we've ever seen in the league. And I want to see how they stack up.
I like that you brought this up because I hadn't even looked at the CONCACAF Champions League yet. And I see that they've already drawn teams against each other for the round of 16.
Yeah, that was some time ago.
So Atlanta United drew Herediano?
Try again.
You want to try?
I don't have the word in front of me.
That might be how you say it. Anyway, just for those that don't know, the CONCACAF Champions League basically starts at the round of 16, and it's a set bracket with each round being 2 legs, so home and away, all the way up to the final, which is also 2 legs. So Atlanta United doesn't necessarily look to have an overly difficult road, but I don't think there's any easy road either. So
no, I mean it'll come down to beating the teams from Mexico, probably, and we could see that in the quarterfinal if Atlanta United beats Herediano.
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, looks how you say it. If Sporting Kansas City plays Toluca in the round of 16. So we could have 1, 2, 3, 4 MLS versus Liga MX matchups in the quarterfinal. But, I'm staking my horse to Atlanta because they were the
MLS champs.
Yeah, they were the best team in the league last season, and last season only ended just over 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. So,
all right. Well, my next topic, I will keep it within the Western Hemisphere once again, and back to the U.S. men's national team. I'll be excited to watch them in the Gold Cup.
Oh, yes.
Mainly because Greg Berhalter's first competition of any kind, aside from a few friendlies. In theory, he'll have the full squad. And I'm remembering back to the last Gold Cup where sort of the bigger names, Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore, came in for the knockout rounds of the Gold Cup. I would expect that to happen again with players. I think especially Christian Pulisic, but there will probably be a few that don't come in until the knockout rounds. But the Gold Cup starts in mid-June, and also the final is on June 7th, same day as the Women's World Cup final. So assuming USA is in the final of both tournaments, that could be a very big soccer day for the United States. So July 7th, keep an eye on it. Hopefully it's a big day. But yeah, games, United States is the host once again of the Gold Cup. So I think it's the first opportunity for Berhalter to just do anything.
Just win something.
Win something.
Yeah.
And it's the first meaningful games for the United States since they were eliminated from the World Cup in 2017. So it really doesn't need any more than that to be something to be excited for.
Yes, I guess my reaction I will couch in the fact that I also had the Gold Cup as one of my things to look forward to. as anybody who listens to this show knows, I haven't paid much attention to the U.S. men's national team since October 2017. Now that a coach is in place, I'll be interested to see how the team plays, who he picks, basically following it again. But it's all going to lead up to the Gold Cup, which the United States must win in order to win a spot in the CONCACAF Cup, which will determine a spot in the Confederations Cup in 2021 if, I don't even know if that tournament is going to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks when we get that far down the road.
But anyway, it's you know, I know it's not the most prestigious continental tournament, but it's the only thing this team has to win. So, yeah, I'm just glad the U.S. is back and, you know, looking relevant again.
Right. Okay. You're
No, it's you again because I also had the gold.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so getting a little more mainstream, I guess you might say, on the world stage, I'm very excited for Juventus in this upcoming Champions League knockout stages. It's why Ronaldo went to Juventus. Of course, a lot of things continue to swirl with Ronaldo off the field, but Juventus as a club and as a team still seems to be, I think, the favorite to win the Champions League. I think if they don't win it, it's...
Are they the favorite?
I think they are the favorite. I think if they don't win it, it is a big failure. I'm not going to... Like, it's always been their goal, but when they've been knocked out in the semifinals or the final, it's kind of like, well, all right, you made it pretty far.
Kind of lucky to be there or happy to be there.
I think at this point, you know, how can Juventus really get much better than they are right now? I mean, of course, you never know down the road, but as far as soccer as it is right now, I think this is as good as Juventus can get.
Yeah.
And if they don't win this year, or I guess you could continue that on to next year, but...
Ronaldo will be 1 year older.
Yeah. As well as Chiellini and kind of an aging roster. So this is kind of all in for them. And they have drawn Atletico Madrid. So we've talked about that match, how it's immediate fireworks in the round of 16. First leg on February 20th, second on March 12th. I think that also could sneaky be their biggest hurdle within the knockout rounds. If you know, we'll see when it's all said and done. But that's the big thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Juventus is they're hip again. When Juventus plays, they trend. They pop on Google Trends, and that is directly linked to Ronaldo. His arrival brings eyeballs and interest and the pressure. I don't know how they'll... I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win the Champions League, but yeah, there's the pressure is on them. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they perform, you know, in the money games.
Right. All right.
Mine, I guess I can segue with that. Just the Champions League knockout rounds as a whole.
Okay.
They're always, it is the best soccer that there is.
Yes.
The highest paid players, the highest paid coaches, you know, among people who participate in this sport for money. It is the ones, you know, they're going to, they're trying their hardest to win this, arguably more important than their domestic leagues because of the, you know, immortality that comes with being a Champions League winner. Yeah, I just love it. There's always drama. There's always controversy. There's always accusations of cheating and UEFA
buses
fixing.
Getting lit on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
police not doing their jobs.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesdays, starting in mid-February, just become events unto themselves. And yeah, I love the Champions League knockout rounds. And I don't have a horse in the race, but can't wait for it anyway.
Yeah, just we talked about Atletico Madrid and Juventus.
Yeah.
Other big matchups already
Man
in the round of
United,
16.
PSG.
Yeah, Tottenham versus Dortmund, and Liverpool versus Bayern, and not even mentioned in that, Man City, Barcelona, and Real Madrid all in the competition versus teams they should probably beat and advance to the quarterfinals. So it just
ramps up each round that passes, and it's the best.
All right, definitely a good one. I guess also kind of building off of that, I'm excited for the rise of Kylian Mbappe. I guess we kind of have already had this in 2018 with France winning the World Cup, but I was just really repping Juventus there for a second. Paris Saint-Germain is also kind of at a peak, I think. They can't get much better than they already are. And they are a team that has had some serious Champions League disappointments. I mean, that's all their club is about.
Yeah.
They can win the league.
Out of the round of 16 ever?
We did they got to the quarters, but
maybe the quarters is as far.
But they've had some very disappointing round of 16 exits recently. Now they've got Neymar and Mbappe, seemingly both in their primes. I mean, I know Mbappe is still very young. He's still very young, but he's going to be as explosive right now as he ever will be, you would think.
Yeah.
So I think with the World Cup leading into perhaps a deep Champions League run or maybe winning the Champions League, will just catapult Mbappe into the top 5 player in the world category.
He's not already there?
I think it'll just cement it in there, not going to leave that conversation for 10 years sort of thing. And I think he can do so with a big performance in Champions League knockout rounds. And basically.
I can react to Mbappe with he is the truth. And just yesterday, somebody said, I think he can become the new Pele. Do you know who said that?
Pele?
Pele said it.
It sounded like a Pele quote.
Yeah, Mbappe is for real. And I'm just going to go ahead and segue to my next one. I'm excited to see who is next. Who got next after Mbappe? He is the next big thing. We know it. But one of the things I love about soccer is that there's always just a young, budding star. Every 6 months, just wait. Somebody's going to come in that, you think, oh my goodness, this guy is going to be incredible. There's some young English talents like Jadon Sancho. I'm not putting him in Mbappe's bracket, but I'm just saying that there are always these young players that grow by leaps and bounds over short periods of time. Maybe it's Phil Foden at Manchester City, or there are tons of them, but I'm waiting to see who is really going to come in and, who's 17, 18 years old and ready to say, hey, I'm here now. And not only am I a star for the future, I'm a star now.
All right. My next one is kind of a combo, but as we're so far away from the actual axing of this man, I think they're kind of separate topics. But Jose Mourinho, where he will land next. Also, Manchester United season from this point forward. They kind of have had an instant spark, positive, after Jose Mourinho was fired. We'll see how long that lasts for. But I am very excited to see where Mourinho lands next. Whatever league it's in, whichever club it's with, there will be something there within that's just going to be dramatic. It doesn't matter where he goes. And Manchester United, they've got a lot to play for. They've got they're expected to finish in the top 4, or that's what they want. And it will be very difficult to do so in a very competitive Premier League this year. So just kind of always exciting to keep up with them because they're Man United and things just get interesting there.
Yeah, Jose Mourinho, say what you want about his ability or fading powers as a manager, he still has more, I would say as much or more star power than any manager out there. So, you know, the things he says during press conferences, how he says them, it's still news. It's always news. And yeah, I wonder where Mourinho will end up next. I suspect it won't be at a big club unless it's Real Madrid, you know, due to his links with the president there, Florentino Perez. They still have a good relationship from his first stint there. But yeah, I mean, Mourinho is, they say, as they say in England, box office. So yeah, I can't. I'm excited to see that too.
And right now, Man United is tied with Arsenal for 5th place on 41 points.
Yeah, who cares? They won 6 out of 6.
Yeah.
I think they were, I forget what the stat is, but they were several points behind Arsenal when they fired Mourinho, and now they're tied. So, and they only fired Mourinho, I think it was less than a month ago, 3 weeks or something like that. So
they've been playing well.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Is it back to me?
It's back to you.
Back to me. I'm going to go with the Premier League title race. I feel like the last few seasons, by this point, we're recording January 16th in the afternoon. We've known who was going to win the league by this point.
Right.
Man City ran away with it last year. Chelsea had a healthy lead at this point a couple years before that. Leicester was, they were the sort of the last big surprise. Even Chelsea before them. I think Leicester in the last, let me think. We haven't had a proper Premier League title race since 2014, when Man City edged Liverpool at the very end of the season. This year, I mean, Leicester, they won by 10 points. By early April, we were all, sort of ready for the shock that title was. But, yeah, Chelsea had run away with it twice. Man City, they were unstoppable last year. So, yeah, this year, Liverpool has a 4-point lead after, I believe, 22 games, 16 games to play. This thing, I have a feeling, is going to go down to the wire. If not the very last game, the second to last game. And, yeah, I can't, it's going to be either Man City or Liverpool. Fairly, I feel comfortable saying that. But ask me to pick one, and I just don't know. Maybe in a coming podcast, I'll fall on one side or the other, but not today. Proper Premier League title race this year. Can't wait.
I pretty much disagree with everything you just said. Liverpool as well, I think, just with their deep Champions League run last year, they've caught the attention of a lot of people. They're very exciting. So the fact that they're one of the teams involved in the race is very exciting. Similar to your topic.
Wait. What do you disagree with?
No, did I say disagree?
No, I thought you did.
I thought I said agree.
Oh.
I might have said, I could have, I don't know. I agree.
I was waiting for a, yeah, but. Okay.
No. I'm definitely excited for that.
Okay.
And in addition to that league race, we have another kind of surprising league race in the Bundesliga, the battle for first there. Bayern Munich has, what do they have? 8 straight? 7 straight?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Right now, it's Dortmund in first by 8 points. And Dortmund defeated Bayern Munich in their last match. And the thing is, Bayern had a relatively slow start to the season. and they've been playing very well into the winter break. But it's still 8 points, so it's enough where I still expect Bayern Munich to overtake Dortmund by the end of the year. But I think it's just going to kind of last long enough to make it very interesting towards the end of the year. And I think it's kind of amplified by the fact that Dortmund continues to kind of rise. And I guess from an American perspective, Christian Pulisic, the club he came up with, is going to be back with the club on loan before he goes to Chelsea. And it's sort of a last chance to win the league with the club he came up with. So that's kind of a feel-good story. Bayern and Dortmund play on April 6th. And it being 8 points right now, that match should be very important at that time.
Yeah.
So it's just been a long time since anybody's challenged Bayern in the Bundesliga. And with all of the different American players going there over the past few years, it's become a little more popular in the United States, something that I've been following a lot more closely, and I'm kind of just happy to see somebody challenging, and I'll continue to keep my eye on it.
The Bundesliga has become more popular?
Well, for me it has.
And as we know, so Mark goes, so goes the United States of America.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. As you were talking, I was wondering what would Pulisic leaving as a champion represent versus him leaving as a perennial runner-up.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure, but I mean, we would have to think about him a little bit differently. I think that would increase the expectation that, surrounds him, because if you go to Chelsea as a Champions League winner, then, hey, a Bundesliga winner, or as a league winner, I think that if we ever could hype Pulisic up any more than we have,
right,
this would do it, I think. So, yeah, should be interesting.
Well, it would also be interesting to see how much Pulisic plays in the second half of the year, with Jadon Sancho basically seemingly getting better every time he plays. But at the same time, who knows? Anybody can go down with an injury. Things get shuffled up in the lineup, and maybe Sancho goes down, and then Pulisic is just playing for him.
Yeah, I suspect Sancho won't hold this form through the season.
Yeah.
Only because he's a young player, and young players have ups and downs, unless they're Messi.
All right, is it you again?
Yes. I am going to go with the Under-20 World Cup. Men's World Cup. Starts May 23rd, ends June 15th. Tab Ramos did not get the USA job, even though I lobbied for him for a couple weeks back in 2017. As far as I'm concerned, the U.S. under-20s have played the best soccer in the U.S. national team program for the last several years, certainly since 2013, just in terms of style and ease on the eye.
Yeah.
And with all these good young players that the United States has, I'm interested to see how far they can go. Now, two things. These clubs aren't obligated to release their players. So I was just reading an interview with Tab Ramos where he was saying one MLS team has already told him that if there's a player that's getting games in their lineup, they're not going to release him. I think that's a bit of a shame, but in
seriously,
European teams, I think they might be a little more willing to let a young American player go. I'm thinking of like a Josh Sargent. I want to see what these guys are made of, and whether they can. I forget what their best finish, but they've had some pretty good finishes relative to the senior national team.
Yeah,
they've had some good finishes in in recent years. So, yeah, I want to see how they fare.
Well, I definitely am hopeful that not too many players get held back from
quarterfinals
by their clubs.
Quarterfinals 2015, 2017.
It's definitely a way for a young player to raise its profile. It's kind of like a showcase tournament almost.
Certainly.
And just a great opportunity, and definitely high quality competition. And especially if you're an MLS franchise, it's not as if you're in the late stages of a season. You're in the early stages of your season when this tournament takes place. So you almost just feel like you don't have the player's best interest in mind if you hold him back.
Right. And if you go to the U20 World Cup, play 3 good games, your transfer fee can go up by 10.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So.
All right. Okay. I've got Christian Pulisic's Chelsea debut. This will happen roughly in September, hopefully. Yeah. And it's simply a moment to be excited for, just because you, in theory, have a player who potentially could be the best American player in the Premier League ever. Maybe discounting goalies if you want to get into that whole conversation. But field player, certainly. He's not just going to be that automatically. He'll have to play very well, even by his own standards, to achieve that title. But it's kind of the beginning stages of doing that. And Pulisic himself has made it clear it's been a dream of his since he was a young kid to play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So, it's a very nervous time, I think, if you're a Pulisic fan, U.S. soccer fan, because you see the country's best player entering a moment in his career where he could either really take strides and become a top player in the world, or end up in just this mix of okay to good to pretty good Premier League players, which is maybe unfairly or fairly expectations that would be low, and maybe a disappointment for him if that's what he ends up being. Just an okay Premier League player.
Do you think Pulisic, when does he make his debut? You said September, even though the season starts in August. So you're saying he's on the bench.
No. Okay, I'm saying he could start their first Premier League game. That's possible. But I would also...
Are you expecting him to go right into the starting lineup?
No, I would encourage...
That's what I'm asking.
I would encourage fans of Pulisic to be patient with his Chelsea playing time. And I think the goal would be by the end of the year to be a regular starter, or at least a regular... you're playing 3 out of every 4 Premier League games.
Like at Dortmund?
Yeah, essentially. But... you can't expect him to be starting all 10 of the first 10 Premier League games. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's way too high of expectations. And I think it's also one of the few times where these foreign tours, I looked, and Chelsea is actually going to China during their summer tour. It's one of the few times when looking at any playing time that Pulisic might be getting and who else might be on the field when he's getting the playing time is actually a useful thing to look at, as opposed to most of the time when those games really don't mean anything. But his preseason will be very important. I think even things like the Gold Cup and certainly how he finishes up at Dortmund will be very important. So it's just a very big year, perhaps the most important year in Pulisic's career, and a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, that'll be certainly a story that we'll follow in grainy detail starting next summer, is, every step Pulisic takes and what, how he fares. I think it's all going to depend on what happens with Eden Hazard. If Hazard stays at Chelsea, I think Pulisic will be coming along quite slowly. If Hazard leaves, Pulisic probably goes straight into the fire. Now, I think it'll be better for Pulisic to play behind Hazard, or maybe a Willian might be going out. I think it'd be better for Pulisic not to go straight into the lineup, just to keep him hungry. If he comes right into the lineup and things go sour for him, that's how players get exiled and don't get picked for 2 months or something like that. But
right.
I have a feeling his price tag will afford him a lot more chances to succeed and or fail than he would have had if he cost £6.4 million instead of 64. Chelsea doesn't want to spend this much money on a player and have it not work out.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to go with, I think I have 2 left. Copa America. It's awesome. I think it's in Brazil this year. We had back-to-back Copa Americas in 2015 and 2016. I think pound for pound in terms of entertainment and drama, it's better than the European Championship.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah. Copa America in Brazil starts June 14th and runs until July 7th. So I need to go on a tangent about July 7th. I think it's a shame and a travesty that the Women's World Cup has to share the spotlight with the Gold Cup final and the Copa America final. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's a World Cup final. It should have the spotlight to itself. And if I am covering that tournament, I'll be, disappointed that my attention will be divided, even though it'll be, even though the Women's World Cup final will take it'll take precedence on the day. Since it's going on in France, it'll be going on probably first, before the Gold Cup final and before the Copa America final. And I think it's unfair for a sport, women's top-level international soccer, that still needs all the love and attention that it can get.
All right. I agree with all of that. I think the Copa America, I'm not sure if it's better than the Euros. I think that's definitely up for debate.
I said more entertaining.
More entertaining.
Yeah.
It's also just confusing. It's very inconsistent with the years that it's played. It always throws me off.
Well,
it makes me think, is one tournament more important than another? And the amount of teams that participate. And I thought when CONCACAF was involved, the last Copa America Centenario, that was a great tournament too.
It was.
And now it's back to just CONMEBOL and
but wait for 2020. I have a feeling it's going to come back to the United States in 2020.
That would be great. I'd be all for it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So also Qatar and Japan are 2 invited teams.
Interesting.
To the tournament. But, I mean, we don't need to get into the Copa America by detail. I think as long as what ends up happening is, for example, Neymar didn't play for Brazil in the last Copa America because Brazil was hosting the Olympics, or Rio de Janeiro was hosting the Olympics, and Brazil wanted Neymar to play on the Olympic team as opposed to the Copa America team.
Yeah. And
it just can be these little things where maybe if Messi doesn't play in this tournament this summer, does that alone just take away because the tournament itself maybe isn't the prize? But if all the players are there,
Messi will be there.
Well, if you got Neymar, if you got Messi, if those old Chileans are still around,
they probably will be. Yeah.
If everybody is still there, then yeah, you've got my attention. James Rodriguez, you got me.
He'll be there.
So I hope that's the case, because if it is the case, it's instantly maybe the best soccer of the summer.
Yeah.
So definitely something to be excited for. Okay, so this last one is kind of a prediction for me. I guess it's technically not my last one. Second to last one for me is kind of a prediction that will get Gianluigi Buffon's official retirement. I thought it was kind of a shame that he went to PSG in the first place. He's more or less...
Not a bad place to end up.
No, I mean, and they could do a lot of damage in the Champions League. I also would predict that if both PSG and Juventus advance in the Champions League, the powers that be at UEFA will make sure that they meet in the quarterfinal. Just an easy way to spice up a quarterfinal would be Gianluigi Buffon
playing against Juventus.
That would be nuts, and it would be a shame, and I would be very conflicted emotionally about the whole thing. But I think that he will officially retire after this season. And
are you going to cry?
I guess. I think I already did my crying, though, for him when he left Juventus. So the whole thing is very confusing, and I just think we're essentially just going to have it again. It'll just be for PSG.
I cried when Buffon was robbed and when Juventus lost to Real Madrid last year.
Yeah.
I cried when played his last game for Italy. I cried whenever he sang the Italian national anthem. Yeah, I love Buffon. And soccer will be a poorer sport without him.
I wonder if he'll get into coaching and be a coach in Italian soccer in some.
He'll probably be. I could see him more in administration, maybe be a director or something like that.
That would make sense.
My last one is the summer transfer window. We are currently just over halfway through the January transfer window, and yeah, after the Pulisic transfer, I kind of forgot that it was open. January transfer window we haven't had a big one since I'd probably say 2011 when Andy Carroll and Luis Suarez came to Liverpool. There just never are a lot of big deals in January because the best players are at the best teams and the best teams are competing for major honors, and they don't like to break up their teams while they're competing for those honors. So I understand, I get it, but the summer window is when things really get going. Yeah. And I have a feeling this summer, and I've been saying this for 2 or 3 years now, that Real Madrid is going to reload and show the world who is boss financially and economically in soccer. Neymar, Kylian Mbappe, whoever else is available and out there. I think Real Madrid is going to be looking to make a statement. And when Real Madrid does that, Barca will do what they can to just to keep up. Mm-hmm. So between them, Man United, Man City, Liverpool spending now, I think this is going to be a big summer in terms of transfers. And starting in February 1st, I guess we can talk. But yeah, Eden Hazard he's the big name right now. But in the coming weeks and months, things will start to become clearer as to teams' summer plans.
So you are predicting Real Madrid 2019 summer transfer window champions?
Yes, they're going to break. The transfer window. Real Madrid, yes.
I think they should hand out a trophy for transfer window champions. I don't know how is it just amount of money? I
think they do. It's called the International Champions Cup. And no, it's not true.
All right, so my last one is in the rundown here. We have it as marked to Germany. I will be going to Germany. Long story short, I've got a brother living in Germany for a small amount of time, playing a different sport other than soccer.
What's he playing?
He's playing baseball.
Professionally?
Professional baseball in Germany.
Wow.
It exists. Most people don't know about it, including Germans. But the point is that I will be there during the first leg of the Champions League semifinals.
Wow.
And potentially Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund could be hosting a match or playing in a match, at which point I would make all efforts. I'm not sure I'll be able to get a ticket to the game, but I will be sure to be in a place where people are appreciating the level of soccer that's taking place.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I will make an effort to attend probably a Bundesliga match. It looks like I might be able to go to a Dortmund versus Werder Bremen match, which will be near where my brother's staying. And
there will be 2 Americans in that game, possibly?
Possibly. Could be very exciting. And I'll be sure to bring back a full match report for a podcast following that vacation.
I can't wait.
I'm sure you can. Any final things you're looking forward to in 2019?
Well, I have to react to your trip.
Oh, you do? Yes. You want to come with?
You buying?
No. You're welcome to buy yourself, though.
No, that's okay. Podcasting it's not as lucrative as some might suspect. No, that's pretty cool. Germany, huh?
Yeah, I'm also excited for pretzels and beer. And
this
a lot
will
of
be
history
in
as
March,
well.
April?
This will be
April, May?
It goes from, I'll be leaving in April, I'll return in May.
Turn in May.
Yeah. So, it'll be almost warm, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that should be fun. I hope you go to Hamburg and check out my favorite team in Germany, St. Pauli.
St. Pauli? I might have to. Why are they your favorite team?
Because that's just the kind of dude I am, Mark. And anybody that knows what St. Pauli is about just got a little insight into my character.
Okay.
Yeah, I ride with St. Pauli.
Well, Marcus, I gotta tell you, my little brother is playing baseball in Hamburg.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, then go to St. Pauli. They're in the 2 Bundesliga, but whatever.
Well, we'll have to look into it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
You're welcome.
All right. I think that about does it for our podcast for today.
Yeah.
2019 is going to be a big year.
It's going to be awesome.
We ran a little long, but I think that's just because of all the different things we had to talk about.
Yeah, if this was 2007, we'd have been done by now.
There's a lot of international action, both genders, across the world leagues. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for another year of it, Marcus, and it seems like you are too.
I am, yes.
And to keep up with us, be sure to follow the podcast on the podcast app and in iTunes by searching NESN, that's NESN. Follow the podcast, and you can get all NESN soccer podcasts as well as all NESN podcasts. Follow Marcus Omard on Twitter at NKOmard. Follow myself at Mark D. Benz.
Don't at me with the BS.
And yeah, that's the best way to keep up with us. NESN.com/soccer as well. And we're everywhere.
Now, boy, I tell you so. Come on!